Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I wanted to show you something that caught my attention. I knew about it, but I couldn't remember if I mentioned it to you all yesterday. I was showing you I was showing you a list of some digital assets that the Digital Currency Group I found on their website, where they were showing you which digital assets that they are invested in, and this is their list. And I made a note I told you that it says it doesn't include digital assets where DCG has indirect exposure. In other words, they own a portion of Ripple, the company, and so they're not listing XRP as a digital asset, even though they indirectly own XRP. And so, but there was one digital asset in this list that I wanted to zoom in on, and that's called Horizon, ZEN being the symbol. This came up on my radar a while back, and the reason it did is because of this tweet right here. Barry Silbert, who's the CEO of the Digital Asset Group, he said he gave a list of digital assets. He said, I picked up, this is when the market had dipped a while back. And then yesterday, today, I saw this tweet, and it reminded me that I forgot to mention. We were going over how Stellar Lumens Trust was added to Grayscale. Now remember, Grayscale is also owned by the Digital Currency Group. Yeah. So, but this guy tweets this out. Anyone know much about Horizon? Coin looks like a great team with really good connections. Hasn't gained any traction. In fact, has almost gone off the charts. But this popped up. Grayscale Horizon Trust. They've added Zen Trust, and that's the reason that I tell you should be paying attention to people like Barry Silbert, because he obviously knew that they were going to add Horizon to Grayscale because he's one of the owners of Grayscale. But the important thing to know is that's why I told you yesterday you need to be paying attention to what Digital Currency Group is doing, because these guys have their fingers and hands in everything having to do with blockchain. And if you're going to look to anyone to determine to decide which digital assets to look into that you might be interested in investing in, if you're going to diversify, then that's the thing to do. But I wanted to point out to you one thing that appeals to me more than anything about Horizon. I did own some and got rid of it to get something else, but I'm thinking about loading up on a decent amount of it just for this reason I'm about to give you, in addition to what I just told you. And that is this right here. Remember, Bitcoin has this same supply as Zen. The reason Bitcoin went to $20,000 is because of the low supply. Now, I don't know a lot about Horizon besides what I've just told you, but the fact that Digital Currency Group and Barry Silbert are into it, they obviously are investors in this. And because of that, and because of this low supply, $4.53 as of today is chump change compared to what something like that, if it catches on with that low of a supply, would go to. That's all I'm going to say about that. This is an awesome article. I'm going to read parts of this to you, because this goes hand in hand with the theme of what I have been saying about what's coming with Wall Street and all year long. Listen up and listen real close. First, I'm going to have a sip of this cinnamon coffee. Okay. It says the buzzing that can be heard amongst those connected to the Bakkt launch is loud and growing. Work is being done and preparations are in full gear. The clear expectation is that the CFTC approval will follow shortly after the reopening of operations at the CFTC following the end of the shutdown. And the Bitcoin initiative known as Bakkt, partnered with Microsoft and Starbucks, will launch like a rocket. Take a step back and consider the huge venture capital names committed to Bakkt at the moment. A few names connected to their first round of funding read like an all-star team of sorts. Fortress, Galaxy Digital, Horizon Ventures, M12, which is Microsoft's venture fund, and a host of others. The Bakkt team is working furiously as they prepare for a marketing and execution blitz that they believe will produce tremendous volumes and attract all manner of institutional clients very, very quickly. One source familiar with Bakkt's preparations had this to say about what they expect once CFTC approval occurs. Take a close look at the increased public dialogue that Bakkt is having with the crypto and financial community. Whether it is a Medium post by Kelly Loeffler, CEO of Bakkt, or social media posts meant to continue to build a Bakkt narrative, the PR and marketing ramp up is preparing for launch and all that comes with it. Once the launch occurs, you can expect Bakkt leadership to be all over the airwaves and in front of TV cameras preaching the Bakkt gospel, and that can be characterized as the safety, custody, and daily use case ecosystem that Bakkt provides to investors. Kelly is uniquely qualified to tell that story and will be a media darling. More color on where Bakkt is headed once approval is finalized from sources we spoke with familiar with the firm. The Starbucks initiative is a 2020 project and will carefully talked about in conjunction with reps at the Behemoth Coffee Company. Message discipline will be important with respect to Starbucks so as not to fall into a trap of over-promising and undelivering. At launch, much more will be made of Bakkt's familial connection to ICE and their technology partnership with Microsoft. Those will be highlighted early and often as they are trusted names amongst institutional investors and global investment banks. Further, you can expect Bakkt to be more and more visible at larger financial and technological conferences of note. Also expect the Bakkt message to spread in the largest of media organizations like the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNBC, Bloomberg, and the like. Bakkt wants to build a Loctite institutional seriousness around digital assets and the safety they plan to provide to investors. They believe keeping messaging to legacy outlets will send that message. Messaging, optics, partnerships, adoption, safety, real-world use cases, ICE, Microsoft, Starbucks, and more digital asset products to come. Maybe Bakkt is the bear market slayer we all hoped it would be. Now, I want to bring your attention back to two things and repeat them. Also expect Bakkt message to spread in the largest media organizations like the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNBC, Bloomberg, and the like. Now, Bloomberg especially, we've seen all their negative articles over the last year, and I'm here to tell you, I've said it all along, these guys are part of the traditional finance system. They are all intertwined and in bed together. And when they are given the go-ahead, they will toe the line because now it's legitimate. Now it's Wall Street, and they have saved us all. And they will be the saviors of us all. And let them be. That's what I keep telling you. Let them be the saviors because you and I were here before they were. So save us, please. I want to see you save us. I would love for you to save us because you're going to be saving our wallets. Not saving you, but you're going to be making our wallets. But the last thing I want to draw your attention to is the other thing I've been telling you, and that is this line here. More digital asset products to come. So don't be the guy that says, yeah, but they're not going to list XRP. Everybody's going to list XRP in the end, and that's what's important. Okay, moving along. I wanted to show you this article here. This is Invest in Blockchain. 5 crypto predictions for 2019. These are not dollar predictions. These are just interesting predictions I thought you should see. They all sound pretty legit. 1, the BTC bear market is over. No new highs and no new lows. I disagree with that. There will be new highs in my opinion. I'm thinking we'll at least go back up significantly for Bitcoin and all digital assets. 2, some altcoins reach and exceed their previous all-time highs in BTC. Totally agree with that. Regulators target some big name ICOs refunding investors. Yeah, we'll see the SEC crack down on some of those for sure. Ethereum goes proof of stake. This is important right here because this is going to happen. They are going to go proof of stake because they now know that proof of work is a disaster and that it cannot be sustained. And so, as I've told you before, there will be, and I don't know about Bitcoin. Bitcoin may be large enough. I doubt it, though. I think that it's just a matter of time before Bitcoin also undergoes a 51% attack, and they're going to have to do a one-for-one swap for a better technology. That's what I believe is going to happen. So, anyway, and number 5, 51% attacks increase on shared hashing algorithm coins. It's going to happen, folks. And all of the coins that are proof of work are going to do what Ethereum's doing. Just write it down because it's going to happen. Now, I wanted to point out a couple of things besides that. This is from Stephen Diep, and I missed this, but it was a good point, something worthy of you watching. You should follow him at DIEPSANH. He puts out these short, he goes and finds, a lot of times he'll find an old video where somebody missed an important thing that was said. This one is a good example of that. Ripple doesn't see transactions between banks. If Ripple shut down tomorrow, customers would still be able to transact through Ripple software. The same would not be the case for Swift. And that's a very good and important. That's from November of 2018. So I thought that was interesting and worthy of you seeing. Also, this has to do with these 51% attacks. This is a Dr. T tweet. He was replying to someone, but I thought this tweet was dead on. And if you don't follow him, that's a definite follow in the XRP community. A very smart guy. At XRP Trump, he's a definite follow, especially if you are just getting involved in the community. He says, Bitcoin has an inevitable thermonuclear bomb programmed into it. 51% attack. Once that happens, there will be no option but to change it into something that looks like a distributed agreement protocol like XRP. You forgot the XRP was created by Bitcoiners after all, to fix it. And this is perfect, right on point. He's exactly right. And I've said a variety of this several times. XRP was created by guys that were looking at Bitcoin and saw the genius of Bitcoin, but saw what they thought should be tweaked in order to make it better and more decentralized, folks. If you take a look, and one thing that I found interesting in his tweet is he uses a term that you don't see very often now. But I think that XRP Trump has been around for a while. And I think that he remembers this term. This term is a term that I remember from a little ways back. And it reminded me to go look at something that I think you'll find interesting. Bitcoiner. I think that in the early days of crypto, they were referred to as Bitcoiners. And I think I can prove it. Look at, I went to the Wayback Machine and I wanted to go look at Ripple's website. This is from 2013. Look, Ripple in beta. I think this was when they were about to come out with XRP or maybe right after. They've got a section called Bitcoiners. I don't know how I remembered that, but that is pretty darn cool. It's really neat to go back on these Wayback Machines and look at these websites way back. It's pretty darn cool. So you can go, just type in, just Google Wayback Machine if you've never done that. You can look at that on just about any website. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that they used to call the Bitcoin maxis Bitcoiners. Thank you for listening.